Okay, I think we can start. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our masterclass today on the user experience research. Today, we're going to be exploring the what, the why, the when, and the how of user experience research. We're going to be discussing really how you can arm yourself with tips to help you build scalable and sustainable products. My name is Busola, and I'll be your host for today. I am the Director of Research at Versa Research. Also on this call is Ifoma, who is a research analyst at Versa Research as well. So how it's going to work today is we're just going to share with you some practical tips that you can use for in-house user experience research. And if you have any questions as we're going along, please use the chat function. It's being managed by Ifoma, so you can ask your questions. And we're going to leave about 5 to 10 minutes at the end of this masterclass for you to be able to ask any more questions and for us to be able to answer some of the questions that you've already asked. Okay, so let's start off with a little bit about Versa Research. So we are a data research and consulting company. We are industry experts when it comes to market, product, consumer, and social research. We use a scientific approach to conduct quantitative and qualitative research, as well as neuromarketing projects. So you would see with user experience research, it's really a combination of all three types of traditional research tools that we use to conduct user experience research. So the whole goal of Versa Research is to help you build scalable and sustainable businesses. And we really hope that with these tips we're giving you, you can actually do those yourself. Start putting processes in place to help you build more scalable and sustainable businesses. So as I mentioned, today we will be discussing the what, the why, the when, and the how of user experience research. So let's jump right into it. User experience research, I might call it UX research sometimes, it's used interchangeably. It's the systemic study of your target users and their requirements to add a realistic context and to give you insights into your design process. So let's take a step back. A clear distinction has to be made between user experience research and design research. User experience research is a systematic investigation in how your users interact with your solution. So how easy is it for them to complete their task? How easy is it for them to meet their goals using your solution? While design research is more of understanding or unearthing the human needs, right? So unearthing human needs so as to develop a solution that will add value to them. So we can look at it as design research comes first and then user experience research comes second. Design research is more used in the ideation stage when you're trying to figure out, okay, what product should I provide? So I have this community, what are their pain points, what are their needs, and what product should I design? While user experience research is more, okay, now I have a solution or I have an idea. Now I want to test the solution to see, right, if it's actually meeting the need or solving the problem that I want it to solve. Okay, so user experience research is how users experience your solution, and design research is really studying users to create a solution. Okay. So user experience research is great, right? Why do we do it? It helps us unearth needs and wants of our target market and highlights which features are important to them in a realistic setting. So whether or not you do design research, user experience research still helps you understand the needs and the wants of your target audience. It helps you see the journey they go through as they use your solution, right? So as they navigate your solution, what are some of the problems they're having? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the opportunities for optimization? It ensures that your solution is designed for the users and not the creators. As designers, even as researchers, we would say that we also are consumers, right? So when we're creating solutions, we're creating solutions and there could be that unconscious bias. There could be that unconscious bias where we start creating something for us and not necessarily for the general population or the target audience. So user experience research is really the best way to ensure that that objectivity still stands and we're creating something for the general population. It helps create solutions that respond to a human need, right? And therefore, it increases the competitive advantage of your product or your solution. It ensures that your solution is based on facts and not intuition and assumption. And it ensures that you focus on what really matters. So you might have so many ideas and you want so many features in your product or your solution, but user experience research really helps you just focus on what matters now. And as you go on, you start adding more solutions to it. Okay, great. So opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities. As a UX researcher, there are certain skills you learn, and because of that, it opens you up in the job market, right? So for example, you're learning organizational skills, adaptability skills, being inventive, being collaborative, being able to align with the reality of your stakeholders, being persistent, going wide. So going wide in the sense that you're understanding what a lot of people want, what are the needs of a lot of people, but then going deep, right? To be able to address those specific needs of the people. So with these skills that you learn as a user experience researcher, you could go into product design, or they could be helpful for you with product design, helpful for you as a product manager, also as a UX researcher, right? A lot of tech companies now around the world, they have created roles for UX researchers. You would find that in a lot of companies, let's say Facebook, for example, there are even more UX researchers, UX researchers and developers than anybody else, because that's where the core of their business is, right? That's the part of their business that makes them the most money. So they will hire more of those people. So what I'm just trying to say is that it's a skill that is very beneficial for you if you have a product. If you don't have a product and you're in your career path, there are opportunities for you as a UX researcher. When Apple came on the market, or when Apple, became more and more of a I don't want to say mass market. It's not mass market, but when it reached its or when more people knew about the brand Apple. In the research industry, we always used to speak about how Apple never does research, because they would say, oh, we don't do research. But Apple actually does research. You can just Google Apple UX researcher and you see that there are a lot of roles for UX researchers in Apple. But you're thinking it's not research. It is research. We're unearthing people's needs and wants. It's very encompassing, right? So we're not just testing our solution, but we're understanding the people that we're building solutions for. So even if with this new iPhone, let's say iPhone 13, we're testing iPhone 13 with a group of people. We've tested it, but we've also gotten some insights about what people need and what people want. So when they're building iPhone 14, they have new insights to put into the product. Okay, so I'm repeating myself a little bit, but it's really just to drive home the point of what user experience research it really is, right? So we're using it to evaluate your users' experiences of the product, to gather insights that will help you build products that your users find relevant and enjoyable to use, because then they're more likely to use it again, and they're more likely to tell other people about it, which is great for you because it increases your awareness, increases your revenue. And it helps build scalable products that appeal to the needs and the behaviors of your users, which helps with loyalty and also helps with comfort. Again, amazing for you because more people are likely to use it, more people are likely to tell other people about it. So with user experience research, there are different stages. So ideally, it should be carried out before your solution, before your design process, right? That would be the design research. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to state something. I forgot to say this. Design research and user experience research, a lot of people use them interchangeably in the industry. You would see that the methodologies, almost everything is similar, but there is a distinction because user experience, there needs to be a product that the user is using, right? So user experience actually requires a solution, while design research is used more in the ideation stage. But research is essential at every single journey of your product. It is essential to have a competitive product, a product that works, a product that your target market will need at every single stage of at every single stage and in every single process. So user experience research should be carried out before, during, or after the design process. And it's really to make sure that you're not having any assumptions for your design process. You really understand the problem that your users may be facing when they're using your product or solution, and you're building something that is really suitable for your target audience, okay? Okay, so what is the process? So we have a 5-step process. I mean, it's not this straightforward, but we do have a 5-step process, and we will try and break down each of the 5 steps so that this is something that you could be doing on your own. So the first step is to identify your business and research objectives. Your business and research objectives, business objective is really tied to the company goal or the product goal, and it's really tied to financial implications, right? Your research objective is really just what you want this research, this user experience research to accomplish. What exactly do you want it to do? Then you need to define your target audience. So who exactly would be the users of your solution? Those are the people that the research should be targeting. Then you select a research methodology. Now, user experience research gathers information as users are using your product. So we want a methodology that helps us understand how they use our product. So these are the main methodologies we use when we conduct user experience research. We have ethnographies, diaries, group discussions, also known as focus group discussions, surveys, interviews, A/B testing, eye tracking, card sorting, usability testing. Then you design your protocol guide. Very important for you to have a protocol guide, because if you do user experience research with, let's say you do group discussions with me, or with, okay, so let's say you do group discussions with parents. So you have an application that helps students get ready for national exams, right? So WAEC, let's even add GCSE in there. You're helping students get ready for those. The target market for such a solution would be the students, of course, because they're the ones that are going to be using the app. But will also be the parents or the teachers, because they might be the gatekeepers, right? They might be the ones telling the students to go download the app, or they might be the ones monitoring the students as they're using the app. So let's say you have a group discussion with parents, with a group of parents that fit within your target audience. You need to ensure you have a protocol guide, because when you're having a group discussion with teachers or with students as well, you need to make sure that the process you followed with parents is the same process you're following with students and teachers. So that's why we say it is a systematic investigation. It's not just, oh, I'm just talking to people. No, research is extremely systematic, and there has to be a process that is followed. And that's why some of us are great researchers, because some of us are type A's. We love processes, so it works for us. Okay, so you also need to design your data collection guide, right? So if you are doing, let's say, usability testing, what kind of questions are you going to be asking people? Remember, I mentioned systematic. So there must be a process, right? What you are asking me should be exactly the same thing. What you're asking me as a parent should be exactly the same thing you're asking the other person as a teacher. And then you go into field and you speak to people. As a UX researcher, it's very, very important for you to be charismatic. It's very important for you to be friendly. Even if you don't like people, just suck it up for those hours that you're with people, and you smile and you laugh and you try to be friendly with people, because that's really where you understand people. In friendliness and in vulnerability is really where you can unearth those human needs and really understand people. And that's where people even relax as well. Some of the FAQs we get as researcher is, well, people lie. So how do you believe what they say in data? It has a lot to do with the person who is collecting the data. So vulnerability, charismatic, being friendly, being understanding will help your participants let their guards down. And that's how you're able to get data that is insightful and data that is actually actionable. Okay. So business objective, I mentioned it's usually tied to the overall goal of the solution or the company. It's usually tied to financial implications. So an example of a business objective for user experience research is to understand the experiences of the various types of users of the platform. Now we want to understand their experiences because it would the whatever their experience is will help us determine whether or not more people are likely to use this app, whether or not somebody downloads the app and opens it, or just downloads it and leaves it on their phone, or they're more likely to tell other people about this app. Okay. And then it helps us. So research objectives. So what exactly are we going to do with our research? So we're going to help with the evaluation of the platform's interface, its aesthetics and its features, an evaluation of the process, of the flow, of the speed of the platform, an evaluation of users' journey as they go through the platform. Okay? So those are examples of a research objective and business objective with UX research. And then defining your target audience. So your target audience is really based on your demographics, psychographic factors. It is a segmentation of the population to help you identify who is more likely to use your product. So we have written an article, kind of like tips on how to define your target audience. So if that's something you're interested in, you can just indicate in the chat box and we will send you the link to that. And then determine the best methodology or tool to help you reach your target audience. So in the previous, I think 2 or 3 slides, I mentioned different tools that you can use or different methodologies that you can use. So it's really about when choosing a methodology, you have to think about the target audience. So I mentioned parents, teachers, and students. So let's go back to our methodology list. So let's say I wanted to do a study with on my app. So I have an app that helps students get ready for national exams. And I have 3 target groups: parents, students, and teachers. The methodology I use for these 3 target groups might not necessarily be the same. So let's say, for example, I cannot use group discussions for parents, because group discussions requires you to bring all parents into one setting, virtual or in person, where you discuss specific things with them. Now, the problem is that parents are, yes, they're parents, and that's what brings, that's the one uniting thread, but they also have different timelines, right? There could be parents who are working parents, there could be parents who are more stay-at-home parents. So how do I find the time to bring all my parents together to do this? So maybe for parents, it would be better to do interviews, because I can go to them, I can call them, I can send an email, I can organize a Zoom call, and we just have a one-on-one interview. So it will be based on their own schedule, okay? Same thing if it was doctors. Let's say I had a telemedicine app that helps patients get medical advice online, right? For example, and I wanted to test this with doctors to see if doctors are more likely to use this, and I wanted to test it with patients. I cannot do group discussions with doctors. Just think about how hard it is to even get a hold of your doctor if you have a doctor, or going to the hospital, right, to see a doctor. So with doctors, interviews work best. Or maybe it might be a thing of diaries, right? Because the doctor can do it at their own time. Maybe the only time of the day they have available or free is between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. I don't know about you, but I like my sleep. So I'm definitely not going to be up at that time. So maybe a doctor, the diary might be the best way, because that's the best time to catch them where they're relaxed enough to be able to use your platform and write their feedback about it. So when choosing a methodology, yes, some methodologies work better depending on what stage you are in your product, but it's also extremely important to remember your target audience and see if they can even use that methodology. Let's have another example: eye tracking. Let's say you've developed a platform for people between the ages of, let's say, 50 to 65 years old, who are grandparents, for example, and then you want to do an eye tracking study with them. That's going to be one of the most difficult times of your life, I can tell you that, because trying to explain to them to put on the glasses, trying to explain to them to look at that, this is what you're trying to track, the movement in their eye, you're going to spend the next 10 hours explaining to them, and you're not going to get the data you need. So you just have to really be very conscious about your target audience before you even choose a methodology. Okay. So now we've chosen a methodology and now we're trying to collect our data, right? So there are 3 steps in data collection, or 3 things that or 3 buckets for you. And then there are 3 buckets, and then we've included tips within each bucket for you to be aware of, right? So the first one is before your data collection. So at this stage, we've identified our objectives, right? We've designed our guide. User experience research, NDAs are very, very important. I mean, it's always good to get consent. It's always good to have NDAs. But with user experience research, because a lot of times it's a product that we're developing or a product that we're testing, you just need to make sure that the people that you're bringing in to test this product do not work for a competitor. They're not going to share your ideas or whatever they see with anybody. So it's very important for you to have this NDA. And it's something that can be held up. Well, we've never had an issue with that, but it is something that should be able to be held up in the courts of law, where if somebody creates a product that is similar to what you were testing, you can actually sue them. You don't want to go through that process, but it's very important to always make sure that you explain to participants that everything in this session has to be kept in this session, and there is an NDA they'll be signing. And then during pre-data collection, sorry, excuse me. Okay, so during pre-data collection, it's very important to have your analysis plan. So you have to actually know how you're going to analyze the data that you're collecting. Because when you do that, you might realize that there might be some questions that you need to ask to be able to get the insights that you're looking for, or there might be some questions that you are asking that you do not need to ask. The methodology you've chosen might not necessarily be the methodology you even need, and you might have to change the methodology. So it's always good for you to plan and try and envision or anticipate what the future will look like, so that you can make changes now before you actually speak with participants. And then you schedule the data collection. So you let participants know when you will be having the data collection, you schedule it, you send them reminders, which IFOMA did to everyone continuously, just so that everybody is on track. And then once people come for the data collection, explain to them the rules of the engagement. So respect is very important. You need to create an environment where people feel like they can share and they will not be criticized, or they would not be attacked. You need to present them with the NDAs, explain it to them, and the severity or the seriousness of these NDAs. Usually it's good to provide refreshments. Remember, I mentioned that collecting accurate data is really about your charisma, your friendliness, the way you approach the situation, and the environment that you sorry, and the environment that you create for your participants. It's always good to record the sessions because you can go back to it at a later time. If there's any stimuli, you show them the stimuli. You ask questions, you observe behaviors, and it's always good to give incentives to thank participants for their time. Sorry. After data collection, don't forget to save. That's always the funniest part, where you've recorded, you've done all the work, and you forget to save the recording. So if it doesn't save automatically, please don't forget to save. Keep all of your notes, so all of the copious notes you took, maybe on nonverbal behavior or nonverbal cues. Save all of those, and then you get ready for data analysis. Data analysis is very similar to every type of data analysis. Remember, I mentioned user experience research falls within three main types of research. So quantitative, qualitative, and neuromarketing. And even those tools that you see, they fall within those brackets, or they're in between quantitative and qualitative or neuromarketing. So data analysis is pretty straightforward in the same way we analyze quantitative data. And we have not had a workshop on that yet. Maybe that will be next. But the same way we analyze quantitative data is the same way we will analyze the data we get from user experience research from a quantitative tool. With qualitative data, so the same way we do content analysis and structural analysis is the same way we would do that from data we collect using user experience with a qualitative tool. And then neuromarketing as well. So neuromarketing usually also falls within quanti or quali, analysis. We had a webinar on qualitative research. If you would like the recording to that, you can also send a message in the chat box and we will share that with you. Okay, we're almost there. So before, I mentioned that your tools or your methodology really depends on the target audience that you are working with. However, there are some tools that are more effective at different stages of your product or your product cycle or your design cycle. So it's always ethnographies are really good because ethnographies is where you're just observing people, right? So you're observing the way people interact with something. And it's always good before because it gives you an idea of this is how. So for example, let's say we wanted to create an app that that helps people know where to go, like where do you go on a Friday night in Lagos, for example, right? So we wanted to create an app that puts together all the restaurants, all the clubs, all the lounges, all the art galleries, everything that you can possibly do on a Friday night in Lagos. And we wanted to see how people make decisions when it comes to going out. So is it that a group of people are together and then they say, oh, let's go somewhere. How do they make a decision on where they want to go? So let's say we created an app and we want to test this app amongst a group of people, right? And see how they make decisions. Oh, we've not even created the app. We just want to see how friends hang out and how they make a decision. So let's say we go to a restaurant and we just sit there and we're observing groups of people and how they interact with each other and how they make a decision on what next to do. So eavesdropping basically on the conversations. But ethnographies are great, right? Because you don't even need to be involved in the research. You just observe people. And with that, you can start getting some insights that can help you create and develop some ideas that you can test with them. Diaries. I'm actually going to explain all of this later on, so I'll just move on. And I know I'm talking a bit much. We're almost out of time. So diaries is also really good. Group discussions is great. Surveys are really good as well, and interviews are good before you have a solution. So let's say you have a solution now and you just wanted to test it to see how you can optimize it before you have your final launch. So let's say at this point you've done a soft launch and you just wanted to see what's working, what's not working, how can we optimize it. So let me just even say a lot of companies or a lot of projects that we have worked on usually come during this stage. So you have a client who has done a soft launch or they want to launch, but they want to test it before they've launched. This is where we get a lot of research briefs. So you can do A/B testing, which I will explain, diary research. So people just keeping track of, their behavior. You can use eye tracking research. You can use card sorting research. You can use usability research. Okay. And now let's say, yes, you have your product, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now you have your product. So now you want to test how is the product doing in the market? Is there anything I need to change last minute, right? Or is there anything I need to change now that it's in the market? A/B testing again, group discussions, eye tracking, surveys, usability testing. Okay, so let me talk a little bit briefly about some of the new tools that we hardly see or hardly hear about in research. So A/B testing. So A/B testing is really the process of comparing two versions of something together. So for example, let's say your website, you've created a website that enables online shopping, e-commerce website, right? But you're not sure which website would lead to higher conversions. So you create two types of websites, right? Two versions. And then version A, a group of people will see version A, version B, another group of people will see version B. And now you're doing an A/B testing. So you're comparing these two versions of websites to see which one leads to higher conversion. Another example, more practical, that we might know about is when Instagram removed the number of likes on your pictures. So what they did was they wanted to roll this out across the whole world because I'm sure you've heard, and it's been in the news a lot lately right now, about studies that have found that the number of likes you have causes a lot of bullying in teen girls and causes a lot of self-esteem issues in teen girls. So we can share that with you as well. There's a study that came out, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, that confirmed that, but I think we all knew about it, and there's a show on Netflix about it. So what Instagram did was, before removing this like, the problem with this is that, for example, influencers need this like button, right? People need to be able to see that they're getting blah, blah, blah likes for their post. Some people actually like the like buttons. They like to see that their friends like their pictures or whatever they're posting. So before Instagram actually removed this, they wanted to see what effect it would have. So a group of people in the world, I think they chose select countries and people within select countries. Your account did not show how many likes, right? Or who liked it. It just showed your picture, and then I don't even remember. Anyways, it just showed your picture and something underneath, but it didn't say 20,000 likes, for example. Then a group of people still had their likes, where it would show like, Ifoma liked, and 19,000 other people liked the picture. So they were comparing both platforms to see which one actually increases engagement, because the whole point of social media is to ensure that people are on it as long as possible, to see as many ads as possible, and to get as much data as you can from them. So that's an example of A/B testing. Okay. So A/B testing with 40% of sale. So which one is going to make people sign up for our website? So this is a sign up prompt, but if you sign up, you get 40%. So which one is more likely to get people's attention, right? Or which one is more likely to increase conversion? That's the website we go with. Okay. Diaries. So diary is really just self-reporting by participants over an extended period of time. So for example, diaries are used a lot when it comes to sensitive information that participants might not really be able to share with you in a group discussion. So let's say, for example, that I have an app that is testing. Okay, let's go back into telemedicine, right? So I have a telemedicine app, and I wanted to know, for example, what people do. What is your morning routine, right? Because I want to know how how my product can fit within your morning routine. So instead of just asking people, what is your, I mean, if you ask me right now, what is my morning routine, that's going to be a bit difficult. Even if I do it every morning, I have to stop and think, okay, hold on, what do? I wake up. Okay, when I wake up, of course, I pick up my phone first. Okay, when I pick up my phone, what do I do on my phone? But with a diary, you just tell people to write it out. And it's so entertaining. I don't know if you've ever written a diary before, but it's kind of therapeutic to just write it out. And you find that maybe the first and second entries might be very small, but over time people get so into it and they keep writing, and you find that you're getting a lot of insights and a lot of information from people with diaries. Okay, so diaries can be a lot of fun. You can make it can be online, where there's a place where people can go and just type things out, or it could even be more fun, where you get people like a very nice we call it a cultural probe. So it's like a box, and you just put different things in there. You can put books, you can put pens, you can put stickers in there, and make it turn it into a work of art and let participants feel like they're back in primary school doing arts and crafts. So this is an example of diary. This is a very boring diary. Please don't do this, but I just wanted to show an example. So participants put the dates, they put the time of entry, the location, who they were with, and then they put details about the entry. So ethnography research, I think I'm going to skip this because I talked a bit about it. So really observing people in a natural setting. So I talked about observing how friends are, how they make decisions when they hang out together, okay? Just please note that we will actually share with you this slide. So don't worry, if you want to go back at a later time, it's yours to keep. Okay, eye tracking. So eye tracking is really when you're measuring the eye movement of participants during a range of activities. So for example, we can give participants the link to our website. So for example, let's say we have an insurance comparison website, right? So we've created a website where no matter what type of insurance you want to buy, so It will give you all of the different providers and how much. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, it will give you. Okay, it will give you all of the different providers and how much the okay, and how much they would charge for how much the premium will cost, right? So let's say we wanted to see what was getting participants' attention. So remember I mentioned user experience research really helps you focus, right? Because we might have all of these ideas. We might want to create a platform that has 60 different types of insurances, right? But the main focus should actually not be all 60. We should maybe start off with one type. So me, I would say there's an assumption is maybe we should do car insurance because it's mandatory for every Nigerian to have car insurance, right? But then with eye tracking research, you can actually see what is getting people's attention and where they're going. So let's say with our eye tracking research, we actually find out that it's not car insurance, it's travel insurance that a lot of people is getting a lot of people's attention. So we're monitoring their eye movement. So people would wear glasses and we will monitor their eye movements, right? So our glasses can record the movements of their eyes. Or let's say even the webcam, right, on their computers. We install a software on people's computers, and using the webcam and the softwares, we're able to keep track of where their eyes are going. So let's say we actually find that people are looking at travel insurance, right? Now, in and of itself, right, that insight might it just tells us the what. People are looking at travel insurance, but we don't know the why. It's very important in user experience research to ensure that you're combining different methodologies. So after eye tracking research, I would advise you do interviews or you do group discussions, right? Because then you can actually understand, you've understood the what through eye tracking research, but you can actually understand the so what and then what your recommendation would be. So now we know that people are looking at travel insurance, but we want to know, so what? What does that mean, right? It could mean because in Nigeria, it's mandatory, or Lagos State, it's mandatory for everybody to have car insurance. So maybe when people are getting their licenses, they just ask the person there to help them with car insurance. Or maybe when they're buying a car or they're getting their plate numbers, they just ask someone to help them with car insurance. So a lot of us don't actually know who our provider is for car insurance. A lot of us don't even know how much it is. We don't even know all of that because someone does it for us. But with travel insurance, that one you have to do it yourself. So let's say you want to get a visa or you're traveling to a country that requires travel insurance. That one you have to do it yourself. So that could be a reason why a lot of people did not even pay attention to car insurance, but paid attention to travel insurance. And that tells us, right, as the owners of the platform or the solution, that more investment should be into travel insurance. So we need to get more travel insurance vendors over there. And maybe we need to just forget or keep in the background car insurance and make travel insurance our hero. Okay. So that's eye tracking research. So this is an example, right? So in this case, these ladies are using the webcam and it's software that was downloaded on the computer. But sometimes you can use the glasses. If you are doing it in person, it might be easier to use the glasses. If it's remote, it might be easier to tell participants to download a software on their computer. Okay, card sorting. So this is where you really ask participants to create, let's say, your web page. When you open up a web page, for example, let's say you have the landing page, you have the About Us. Let's say it's an e-commerce site, for example. So you have the landing page. Then you have categories. So let's say you have women, men, children, pets, household, things like that. Card sorting is about creating the different things that fall under women. So it's really to ensure that the usability of your platform is seamless, that people are able to find what they're looking for quickly. So you allow people design this for them. So they will create a logical order of how to group things on your website. Okay, so very easy. In person, you give people like a piece of paper that has the different categories you want on your website and ask them to put it in order. Online, same thing, but you can use platforms that allow you to do that. There's one that we use that is skipping my head right now. If you remember it, please put it in the chat box. If not, we will send it to you. It's a really good platform that allows you to brainstorm things together and put things together, group things together. Okay. Okay, usability testing. So this is actually one of the most used ones because it's a bit easier to use, a bit straightforward. It comes from the principles of traditional research methodologies, focus group discussions. So usability testing is where you have your solution, you ask participants online or offline, you bring participants together. It could be in a group of 6 to 8 people. Or it could be maybe just 2 people at a time or 1 person at a time, and you ask them to use your platform, right? And you evaluate how they're using your platform. So there are 2 ways of doing it, moderated and unmoderated. Moderated is where you tell them what to do and they do it. And then you ask them questions. How easy was it? How difficult? Do you like the interface? Do you like the aesthetics? And then unmoderated is where you just give them the platform, let them play around with it, and then you ask them questions, okay? It's really, really good. I mentioned it's very easy to use because one, it doesn't need any props. It just needs your solution. So you just need to have your solution and maybe the device for people to open your solution on. So maybe a mobile device or a computer. And that's really all just what you need. It's quick, it's fast. So if you wanted to do user experience research, every single time a feature was added to your solution, this is the best way to do it. Extremely quick, extremely fast. You bring people together. You can go as low as 4 people. You can test it with as much as 20 people. Sample size doesn't need to be big. Very, very quick, very affordable, very fast, and you get your insights on the spot. Okay. Okay, so those are the methodologies that we use when it comes to user experience research. And remember, user experience research really helps you study or helps you study how your users experience your solution and helps you gather data on the interactions between your users and your solutions. So with about 13 minutes to go, I would leave it open for any questions that you might have. And yeah, let's take it from questions. Okay, thank you. Okay, no questions. Okay, if there are no questions, I'll keep talking since we still have a few minutes left. I wanted to talk a little bit more about analysis of data from user experience research. So I will just share my screen again, and I will go to the section where we talked about, okay, I'll go to the section where we talked about the different methodologies, right? So ethnography, right? It's a form of observation. So when you collect this data, the kinds of questions that, or the kind of data you're collecting is saying, for example, that, you're at, okay, a more recent observation research we did was for a food and beverage company, or sorry, a QSR, where we would go to different QSRs and keep track of the volume of the traffic of people that come in, the types of people, so the gender and age groups of the people that come in. So the traffic, the gender, the age group, what they are ordering, how long they're spending. So are they sitting in the restaurant, or are they leaving? And how do these dynamics change on a weekday versus a weekend? How does the dynamic change in the morning versus afternoon versus evening, right? So you get that kind of data. Now, for the quantitative data, which is the number of traffic, right? All you have to do is like frequencies or do an average, right? For the types of, for the number of traffic, what you are doing over there is an average, right? For the types of people that are coming in, what you are doing over there is the frequency. So how often is it that children are going to QSRs on a weekday, right? And that data can be compared to how often they're going to on a weekend, okay? So for ethnographic research, you can do a mix of um, frequencies, averages, with your quantitative data. With your qualitative data, so let's say we took note of the setup of the restaurant, right? So these are qualitative data because it's words, right? So for that, what you would do is content or structural analysis. So for example, looking at the themes, right? So is there a specific theme we are finding in the setup of every single restaurant? And that is what we would draw out from our data. Okay, I hope that's clear. So for diary research, same thing, it could be quantitative because we could be asking people questions on, morning routine, and then we could count how many times or how many times in a day a person maybe drinks coffee, right? Or we could compare this person's diary to another person's diary. So it could be quantitative, it could be qualitative. Okay. Group discussions are mainly qualitative research. So we're having a conversation with people and they're giving us feedback. And so for that, we use content or structural analysis. Our surveys are mostly quantitative. In your surveys, you can have open-ended questions, but they're mostly quantitative research because they're mostly closed-ended questions. So for example, asking people, giving people response options, right? So how many times do you brush your teeth a day? Once a day, 2 times a day, above 2 times a day, okay? And then you can just look at the frequency that once a day comes up. For A/B testing, you're comparing the two sites, right? And you need to figure out what your objective is with this. Do you want to test your two, let's say, websites or your two platforms and look at engagement or conversion, right? And that would be your metric. So for conversion, you want to see which website leads to the most conversion. Analysis for A/B testing is very straightforward, very clear, as long as you know exactly what you're testing. It's straight to the point. Eye tracking also very straight to the point because we just want to see where people's eyes are going. So with this, what you can do is you can create a heat map. So a heat map would show you that on this web page, for example, this is where most participants' eyes went to. So the part of the web page that has the most heat, so it's always like the reddest, that would be where participants are going. Okay, and card sorting also very straightforward to analyze because participants are telling you this is the order they want the different categories on the website to be. Usability testing is, I mentioned, the way people are using your solution. You're watching them use your solution. Also very straightforward. I think I also mentioned that it's really the fastest way to get insights. You're getting it on the spot. And if maybe one of your quality assurance or quality control processes is every time a feature is added to your solution, you wanted to test it, usability testing is the way to go. You're getting your insights on the spot, very quick, very fast. Okay, so I know I didn't go into analysis as much, so I just wanted to make sure we touched on that a little bit. And I see some questions coming in, so I will jump right into that. Before we answer the question, okay, yes, Ifeoma already mentioned Miro.com is the collaboration tool that we use for card sorting, okay? There's also a tool called Look.io. Look.io is a tool that helps with online usability testing. So for example, if I wanted to test my website with Ifeoma, for example, Ifeoma would open up, she would download Look.io, just the software on her computer, and then she will open up my website and we would have so Look.io is kind of like a Zoom call. So I would watch her as she's using my website. So I can see her screen, right, as she's using my website, and then we can have a conversation about it. So it really helps for usability testing. But with all of this, you just have to be careful that your participants are comfortable downloading things. If they're not, And especially in an environment where data is a bit expensive and participants don't understand what value it brings to them, it might be best to just use things that are freely available or that will only cost you as the client. So for example, just do it over Zoom, right? So the participant doesn't have to download anything. Okay, let's go to questions. So how do you select what user research tool is best for a product? Very good question. So it really depends on your target audience because different tools work for different groups of people. Your target audience, how easy or difficult it would be for them to use the tool. Because if they're having difficulty with the tool, then you're not going to get the insights you want. So I can give you an example. Last year during the lockdown, we worked on a user experience research for a client. They were creating an artisan marketplace. So they had created an app where there were two target groups. The first target group was people like you and I, in our houses, something goes wrong and we need someone to come and fix it. We need a plumber, we need an electrician. So we go on the app and we search plumber and we put in our neighborhood, and then it will give us a list of plumbers and we can request a plumber on the app, right? So it's supposed to be a convenient way for us to find secure, certified artisans. Now, on the other side of this, the artisans have to join the app, right? So the plumbers have to sign up on the app, create an account and create a profile so that we, the customers of the users, can see them. Now for this research, because it was during a lockdown, we recommended usability testing. And because it was during a lockdown, obviously it just seemed like the best way to do this was to do it virtually online. So we went on Zoom. Our first, we worked with the first target audience first. So we invited them on Zoom. We did our discussions. It was amazing. We got the feedback. The client was on the call. Everybody was on a high. We were so excited. The next week, we did it with the second target group, the artisans. It was epic failure. And we had to change our methodology halfway during that. The problem with artisans is a lot of them are not educated. A lot of them are not tech savvy. So with our participants, or our users, we told them to download the app while we were on Zoom. So we were watching them as they were downloading the app. It was easy. With the artisans, we told them to download the app. Even finding the app on the App Store was such a big problem. It was so difficult. I don't think people even use their App Store as much. Like you would assume that everybody knows what an App Store is or what the Play Store is. No, everybody doesn't know that. So we had to switch our methodology to interviews, where instead of having a group of artisans together, we were working one-on-one with artisans. So first of all, we will sit with them for about 20 minutes to download the app, then create an account. Then after that, we will now start the research. But it was good insights, right? Because it was good insights for the client to understand that when you can't assume that because everyone has a phone and everyone uses WhatsApp, everyone is tech savvy or everybody knows how to. I think WhatsApp even comes with your phone downloaded. So most people don't even download WhatsApp, right? So you don't know what your Play Store is or your App Store is. So sorry for the long story, but to get to the point, it really depends on your target audience, and don't be afraid to change your methodologies halfway. You have to know what is working. At the end of the day, garbage in, garbage out. If you're not using the right methodology, you're going to be getting garbage results. And that's just, honestly, it's a waste of time, because when it's time to now bring out insights, you realize you can't figure out any insights, and it's a very cumbersome process. It's really because something went wrong with your data collection. So always make sure that you're looking at your target audience, what their capabilities are, and how you can ensure that you're conducting the research in a convenient way for them. Okay, any other questions? Let me see. Okay. It doesn't look like there are any other questions, but if you have any other questions, I think you know how to reach us. You can reply to the email that was sent to you with reminders, and we will address your questions. You can send us an email at info@Versa Research. You can reach out to us through WhatsApp on 080-246-62620. everything's on our website. You can also go to our website and fill a form and reach out to us. Okay. So what we would do is we will send you a copy of the presentation so you can have that in your back pocket. And we will, yeah, I think we can end it today. It's currently 3 o'clock, so I think we can end it right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for signing up and for giving us the last hour. Oh, we just got a message. Okay, yes, and for giving us the last hour. You will hear from us shortly with the presentation. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We are here to help you grow your businesses, help you create more scalable and sustainable products. So you can always reach out to us. Thank you. Okay, bye.